Guardian writers predicted position 18th NB. This is not necessarily Paul Wilson's prediction, but the average of our writers' tips last season's position 16th odds to win the league via oddschecker 1.0001. The Bay City Rollers were still big in the charts the last time Burnley were preparing for a second consecutive season in the top flight, and at 3 years old Sean Dyche was much too young to be buying the records. Largely because of the manager's success at keeping a squad tightly bonded and playing for each other, that circle has now been squared at the third time of asking since the Clarets first made it to the Premier League under Owen Coyle. They lasted a season in 200,910 and did the same in 2014-15, when Dyche gained a somewhat unexpected promotion in his first full season at the club. That season established a template, however. Burnley would be competitive in most matches and especially hard to beat at home. They would not score many goals, but they would not suffer many hidings either. They would average a point a game and it would not be quite enough to ensure survival, yet they went back down to the Championship a stronger team and came up the following season as champions. Dyche seems happy in East Lancashire, as long as the club keep growing. Burnley are neither the biggest, wealthiest nor most fashionable of operations, yet their policy of incremental, affordable gains has succeeded in establishing a beachhead in the Premier League. For most of last season they looked comfortable, thanks to winning 10 matches at Turf Moor, and they ended up on 40 points. Burnley took great pride in reaching what is normally regarded as the benchmark for survival after going down on 33 points 2 years earlier, although there always looked likely to be 3 teams below them in the league last season, and in the event there were 4. If Burnley are to improve on the performance, and one would imagine a slightly higher points total would be the next target for Dyche and his players, it is abundantly clear which areas need to be addressed. Convincing as the home form was, Burnley were fairly woeful on the road, and if the plan is to make a push for mid-table safety it would be best not to wait until the end of April to record their first away win. That said, Burnley's only away victory last term came at Crystal Palace, themselves only just clearing relegation trouble, and in the circumstances it was an impressive one. As were the home wins against Liverpool and Everton. There is no doubt Dyche's side carry the capacity to spring surprises, though equally they often fail to dominate teams they might be expected to do well against. How they finished Bournemouth showed last season it is possible for even the smallest club to not only stay up a second year, but also crack the top 10, a magnificent achievement considering the pedigree and resources of some of the teams that finished below them: Stoke, West Ham, Leicester. In theory Burnley could aim to do the same, though the signs are they will not be aiming too high, and another attritional season of small gains is in prospect. Dyche has admitted Burnley are still adjusting to the Premier League, still hovering near the door like nervous guests rather than fully engaging with the party, and to that end his signings so far have been designed to add experience to the squad rather than promise greater excitement to set a course for the European fringes. "I still think we need that extra bit of experience within the group," the manager said after the signings of Jack Cork and John Walters. "I thought we needed that all along, even though this will be my third Premier League season. That seems fair enough. Cork and Walters have played more than 400 games between them and are unlikely to let anyone down, even if they are not quite the type of captures to set pulses racing or shift many more season tickets. Phil Bardsley has so similar a profile it is tempting to wonder how many able but unadventurous signings Burnley may end up with. Dyche specialises in what might be termed sensible buys. He tries to keep the risk factor to a minimum, and he generally likes to make sure the personality of the player will fit in with the group ethic he has established. To that end he often goes for players he has worked with before, and although he missed out on Britis and Ballonger from Nottingham Forest, it turns out he also knew Cork from his time as youth coach at Watford. Yet although experience is important, it could be argued Dyche is only keeping the overall squad level topped up after the departures of 2 seasoned performers in George Boyd and Joey Barton. Burnley have also lost Michael Keane, most significantly, from the heart of their defence, banking £25 million from Everton without so far rushing out to spend much of it. That reluctance to spend may catch up with them one day. Last season's results, presumably it was a factor in Ballonger joining Middlesbrough. There must be a reason why a 24-year-old striker chose to stay in the Championship rather than step up to the Premier League, and the fact that Borough were willing to pay a club record £14 million probably clinched the matter. Perhaps Dyke did not value him that highly, or perhaps he did not think he was ready for the Premier League, but Burnley have yet to bring anyone in to beef up their attacking options, and if anyone makes an unrefusable offer for Andre Gray, it is hard to imagine Sam Vokes and Ashley Barnes scoring enough goals to keep the company afloat. Burnley can expect a certain amount of second-season syndrome. Turf Moor is not an intimidating venue, just an old-fashioned and noisily atmospheric one, and fewer opponents are likely to be caught out by complacency now they know what to expect. Dyke would probably bite your hand off right now if you were to hold out the promise of another 10 home wins. Progress off the pitch is one thing, keeping results going in the right direction may be more difficult to achieve. Cork made a big deal of the revamped training ground when he joined from Swansea. On loan to the Lancashire club from Chelsea 7 years ago, Cork remembers the changing facilities being so grotty players were in the habit of driving themselves between training pitch and showers and using towels to protect their car seats from the mud and moisture their kits had accumulated. That has all changed now. Burnley have wisely used the proceeds from their Premier League adventures to fund modern infrastructure and lasting improvements, though while that must feel like significant progress, in reality it is simply catching up. John Walters, left, has been signed by Burnley from Stoke to bolster the squad's Premier League experience. Photograph Jason Kenduff. Action images via Reuters. Most Premier League clubs regard stature via training grounds as a basic requirement, and they don't necessarily keep you in the top division. Just ask Middlesbrough or Sunderland. Burnley are unquestionably better off for their recent Premier League experience. They have shown the virtue of sticking with a good manager and have managed to avoid the boom and bust scenario that has frequently been seen when relegation quickly follows promotion, but none of that will help them on the pitch when the season actually starts. Largely because of the departure of Keane, they look a little weaker than they did last season. Perhaps their strong group spirit and Tom Heaton's reliable goalkeeping will pull them through again, though they seem set up for a similar season to last rather than anything loftier, and may not find the 40-point mark any easier to reach. They will again be looking to average around a point a game, which may or may not be enough to keep them up. It all depends on the teams around them, though Burnley seem happy enough to embrace that challenge. Unlike many teams who have been in their situation before, the Clarets appear comfortable in the knowledge that if the worst came to the worst, another season in the Championship would not kill them.